Everything good?
Yeah,
Ready?
we are ready.
We're ready. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and dive in because my good friend Janna has a lot to talk about. You had the most organized, amazing outline.
Dude, I'm a nerd.
I know. I mean, I've always known you were a nerd, but you're a cool nerd. I mean,
Aren't we all?
Use it as a template.
Oh, are you?
yeah, we're like we need to
I like
use
it.
this outline as a template for like other people.
Just send it to them.
Bullet points and then my
Yeah.
other bullet points.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was
Sub-bullet
It's
points.
great. You did amazing. I was like, and it's so to the point of like exactly like there's no, I don't know.
Fluff.
Yeah. It's
I
not
tried.
it's it's good. It's good. And I knew pretty much all of that, but not exactly in that everything that happened, but not exactly in those contexts or whatever.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this is my very good friend Janna. We've been friends since 7th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7th grade.
Well,
And
you're 7th. You were
My
in
7th grade,
yeah.
y'all 8th grade. Okay, same with Josh. We've all been friends. Janna's actually known Josh way longer than I have.
Since elementary.
Since element.
Great.
Yeah.
3rd grade.
I was like whichever grade you came in at because I was
yeah,
that's
y'all lived
great.
on the other side of the,
skeet.
yeah, of Skeet.
The other side of Beasley, I guess.
Yeah. So I lived on one side and y'all lived on the other. But anyways, so I wanted to bring you on because of everything you've been through. It reminds me a lot of some stuff that I've been through, but not to the extent, like to almost
Emotional.
where it could have gotten it could have gotten there.
Definitely.
So immediately I want to point out that you really helped me go on my own healing journey.
Aw.
I know, I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't know that.
But you did because you know, I saw what happened to you, and then I saw how you started to change things around, and I saw some similarities to stuff that we were going through every time we would connect again.
Mm-hmm.
And you helped introduce me to my, well, you got lucky because it was part of your family.
Yeah,
but,
seriously.
But
Seriously.
introduced me to my doctor, who I adore because he has helped me so much, and he's helped you so much. And
You're still seeing him, right?
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I thought so.
I messaged him the other day, and I was like, life's not going really good.
Well, because even though he's my brother-in-law, we don't talk about patients. I mean, he uses patient confidentiality.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I didn't even know if you were still seeing him or not because
Yeah,
you can't
no.
talk about it.
I know. Yeah, no, he uses. Yeah, I only know anything that he just says, "How's Janna doing?" when I see you, and I'm like, I don't know. You've probably seen her before me.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the last time I saw you, and I was pregnant.
Well, that we hung out.
Yeah, well.
Oh
yeah.
no, we weren't even hanging out. We were helping in a crisis.
Yep, that's what we do.
We were getting clothes at Walmart for a friend.
Yeah, and I was pregnant.
Yeah, you were. I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like that must have been over a year ago.
Yeah, because it was before
That's crazy.
school started back. No.
I
It was
don't
around
remember.
Mother's Day. I wasn't very pregnant.
Oh, it was Mother's
It was
Day.
Mother's Day.
It was Mother's
because
Day.
I got the call from that person, and I was with family. That's how I remember.
Yeah,
so it was a
same.
little after that, I guess.
Yeah, because I just dropped everything and went.
Yeah.
Which,
That's a whole other.
yeah, that's not even a part of this. But yeah, that was the last time I saw you, and it's definitely we need to get together for not a crisis soon.
That would be nice.
Yeah. This is kind of not a crisis, but we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we'll go ahead and dive in. So Janna and I hung out a lot during high school, but there was kind of a point, and I was friends with you through most all of your relationships up to Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
And so but yeah, I think one thing you said was you were like 18,
Mm-hmm.
and you got pregnant.
Yes.
And it just kind of took off from there. And you said something about isolation, and I just remember, yeah, I never saw you.
And it's funny because I didn't realize I was isolated at the time because, I mean, and obviously relationships like ours didn't start off the way, like it didn't start off bad,
No,
I
no,
should
no,
say.
no.
It's just, I think everything fell in place a certain way. And then when I realized I was isolated and I kind of realized what was going on, it was like, how do I crawl out of this?
Mm-hmm.
And I think also, like, you always tell yourself something is better. Like, that's your coping mechanism. You're like,
it
oh,
could
it's
be
okay.
so much worse.
Yeah, like I'm good. They're just in a bad mood or whatever. Like that's kind of the process that
Yeah.
I went through a lot.
Yeah, and I liked the way that on your outline, your beautiful outline. I love it so much. I'm not very organized or good, but I do appreciate and love organization because it's so much easier to navigate. And like, look, I can just pull it up right here, and it's just it's just wonderful.
I'm such a nerd. I almost printed it off, but I was like, no.
Oh my God, I wish you would have,
was
because
like-
yeah.
I told you to print it off.
I haven't been able to go to a printer, so I should have just
Oh,
told her
I
to.
see. I should have done it because I was at school. I could have printed it. Not a big deal.
Okay, so this is one thing I wanted to, like, when I was reading it, I was like, oh, yeah, oh, totally. And he said he had a tendency to get very angry, become distant, break things. So one of my favorite things that somebody actually asked me yesterday after watching a podcast was like, was your ex-husband ever like physically abusive to you? And I was like, well, and you know, I even in my mind at that moment downgraded it. And I was like, well, I mean, he pushed me a few times or he shoved me. And then I went and read this and I was like, hey, it could have just been one shove away, right?
Which is what it was in my case.
Yeah, and that got really scary in my brain going, okay, you are just always downplaying this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the same thing. You said distant, breaking things. Well, I said he never broke anything. I mean, he never hit me. But everything around me was broken, right?
But the thing is, like, if you're okay, your home is your safe spot, and especially for people like you and I, that's our safety net.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a homebody at heart, and that's where I feel safe. Well, if somebody is in your home breaking stuff,
Yeah.
how can you feel safe? Like, you just don't realize the effect that has on you emotionally and mentally and all of the things.
You're living in fight or flight.
You are
all the time.
constantly,
Yeah.
which is why it took me a long time to heal. With a lot of people who've been through something like that, and then you compound it with physical stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
because healing was not just the physical, it was the emotional and all that.
Well,
too.
and you can't heal if you don't know you don't even know you're in it.
No.
Yeah. And I've just discovered in the last couple of years that I've probably been in fight or flight since I was a child and not knowing it. And now I'm trying to like, okay, this is going to take a lot of work.
And it does.
And it's like, I always go to worrying and worst case scenario. And I have to retrain my brain to go, why are you immediately thinking of the worst case scenario?
Same.
Like, okay, what good could happen? Why are you, and I did it last night. I was doing it. I was like, stop it, brain.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
But I think one thing is correcting it, like, right. But anyways, before you knew that you were living in fight or flight all the time and you weren't in a safe zone, y'all had just had a baby, right?
Yes. So, are you talking about Maddox or Paxton?
The one, well, I guess we should start with you got with Jeremy and y'all got married because you were pregnant, right?
I mean,
or was it because
kind of? I mean, I loved him.
Yeah.
Like, let's not. I don't want to just pretend like, oh, I was forced into this or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Which wasn't the way it happened. We were very young when we met, and I mean, he is a very charismatic person. Like,
Yes.
most people that met him before knowing other things that happened between us, they loved him. They were like, oh my gosh, he's awesome. And
Yeah, I had no idea.
because that is the person that is a part of who he is. He is
Yeah.
a really cool person and he's charismatic and all that. So I, fell hard for him. We were very young, got pregnant pretty soon after we started dating. But we didn't get married until after our first was born.
Yeah, because it just kind of happened, right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want I didn't want that to be the reason why we
Yeah.
got married.
Yeah.
I really didn't. I tried really hard, like, okay, let me make sure we're good. And I didn't want him to marry me because of a child either. It was
Yeah.
both ways.
Yeah.
So he was probably, let me see, Paxton was 9 or 10 months old when we got married. And things were decent. Like, I feel like a lot of things that should have been not triggers, warning signs for me, I blamed on our age, and I had had one other serious relationship in high school. Like, so, I mean, when you're an adult, even a young adult, you don't know what you don't know. And
Yeah.
so, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of stuff I would excuse behavior. Oh, he was drunk. He was upset about this. He was this or that. And that just became like my mantra. Like, let me excuse everything. And he isolated me from a lot of people over the years, but I still had like a few core people, like I still had Jen, mostly Jennifer, like,
Yeah, and we
and
would
some other
sometimes
friends.
come together for events.
Yeah.
And that's when he would be around and it looked like everything was fine at face value and it was real
Yeah.
charismatic. And I'm sure a lot of people kind of thought the same thing about me and Evan.
Yes.
Whenever.
Yeah, because they're very similar in a lot of aspects.
Like, I mean, even after all this, I've had people that don't know him that have
like,
met
what
him.
happened? Why are you not with them?
Yeah, and be like, he was so nice. And I was like, you know what?
Like, oh,
You
but
don't
you
know.
You were not married.
Yeah,
to
he
that
was really
person.
nice. To you.
Yeah, to you. So I don't know, like it just escalated from there. It started with small things like yelling, raising voice at me. It, went from that to the belittling, embarrassing, because there were certain people, not you, but like certain people that we knew really, really well. He knew really well that especially his friends, he would definitely like curse me out in front of them and even to the point where
He would
friends,
know better in front of us.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
He knew, like, he was all about the way he looked in front of people and the persona he gave off, and he wanted to be the good person, the great person and all this, and I was always the bad guy because I was the party pooper or whatever.
Yes, I was just telling somebody the other day this, actually it was like a therapist for the kids. We were talking about excuse making.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up going down a road of excuse making for him.
Yes.
And it turned into a bad behavior that I developed.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't necessarily something I was trying to do, but it was something that I was doing because I was trying to please him, so I didn't wake the beast or make the beast angry or
eggshells. You're walking on
eggshells. And then he'd turn it around and say he was walking on eggshells with me. And so it was very
gaslighting.
like, yeah, it was gaslight. It was very manipulative all the time. And it was hard. That was hard to navigate all the manipulations.
And well, and then it's very confusing because you have this person telling you stuff over and over, and then that becomes your narrative. You believe that. You're like, oh, am I the crazy one? Am I the
all the
whatever?
time I'm crazy?
Yeah. Yes. So I mean, we had many, many ups and downs in our relationship. I would always try to, justify things, make it better, and he's bipolar. So he had seasons. If you know somebody who's bipolar really, really well, or at least the type of bipolar he has, I don't want to generalize people.
There's several different types.
Yeah, but he has like these seasonal times, like every year it would be bad and then it would be really good. And it's so like, because he had the really good and he was amazing during that time, it was hard for me to, in my mind, leave him and give up. And
yeah, it was easier to be forgiving.
It was, because I'm a very forgiving person by nature, and when I love hard, and so it was really difficult for me to just be like, no, I'm done. So we were in a good season. We decided to have another child. I graduated from college. We bought our first house. Like, all these things were happening. And I told myself, like, oh, you're so happy.
Yeah.
And so but it wasn't. I mean, like, as soon as I got pregnant, essentially, and right after we moved into the house, because I was just first pregnant when we bought our first house, it started like he started attacking me again, emotionally, not physically,
Right,
emotionally,
right.
through my whole pregnancy. And so then after Maddox was born, it just got really, really bad. Like we didn't have any good times.
That was the same like timeline with the second child with me too.
Really?
Oh
See, I
my
didn't know
God, it was
that.
so bad.
I didn't know
It was
that.
so bad.
And
That's
it,
when the abuse really amplified was after the second child.
yes. And so, I mean, I just remember when Maddox was little, so he was nursing, and I would just go in his room and nurse him. Like that was my safe space because I knew, okay, if I have the baby, he's going to leave me alone. I don't have to deal with that. I don't have to listen to it. But Maddox was about a year old, and we got in a really, really bad fight. He was, let me see, 14 months old.
Okay.
Got in a really bad fight. And this one time, he ended up throwing me against our bed. He picked me, like, now I remember it. He picked me up over his head, and he's a big guy, and I'm not a big person.
No.
Over his head and slammed me against our bed.
And he has like a wrestling background, right?
Yes, he was
And
former Marine.
background. Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
big guy. Yeah.
he's big and he knows how to handle himself
Yeah,
in a
he should
situation.
not be handling a woman like that.
Um,
That's for sure.
And we had this big bed. It had like these huge pillars on each side of the bed.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like this big. That's what he slammed me against. And so it ended up with I had a skull fracture. I don't, there's a lot of hazy times around that event because I mean, I remember now, but I didn't remember what happened for a year, over a year.
Yeah, I remember when Christy called me and told me, and it was like, it was weird because, of course, my gut feeling when she told me what happened and was like,
Everyone's was.
no. And
Yeah.
she was like, well, she has a really tall bed. Because she just told me that you felt, because that's what they told you.
That's what he told me.
That's what he told you because you didn't remember. It's like
And
one of those. It's like one of those movies.
like, this is the thing.
She's not gonna remember, so I'm just gonna lie about it.
And that should be, there's something to be said about abuse and of somebody who has been abused, and you're interviewing this person. I had a head injury. He
Yeah.
broke my skull.
Yeah.
One of the hardest bones in your body. There's only one other bone that is more difficult to break than your skull, the back of your skull, which is where mine got broken. And so I had a skull fracture, bleeding in my brain and bruising in my brain. Couldn't tell you the name of my kids, but sure, let me tell doctors when they're interviewing me what happened and let them believe me. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
Yeah.
I don't know, but
So from there, I imagine that was a really long. I mean, I remember worrying and asking Christy what was going on, and I mean, she was like, she just doesn't really remember anything, and it was like, okay, well,
I had a lot of people who kept asking me that were suspicious, of course. I think my parents were just so shell shocked and wanted me to be okay, so they didn't really
right? They just jumped in to help.
to help me.
Yeah.
Yes, they were like, "Okay, how can we get you better? How can we make sure the kids are taken care of?" Because Maddox was really little and Paxton wasn't
Very
he was
young.
only 7, so that's not very old to have your mom like in the hospital for a week in ICU, or almost a week in ICU, you know.
Yeah.
So they didn't really ask a lot of questions, but my sister and Jennifer were both like, and so they would, you know,
Tara?
yeah.
Okay.
And
I'm like,
you know, who's married to the doctor now, wasn't
Yeah.
at the time, but obviously
Right.
she, just the way her brain works, and she's very in tune with like medical stuff.
she's so amazing. I love your sister
She's-
so much.
Thank
And I remember growing up, we were kind of a little bit like distant from her because she was a teacher and we were like bad kids, you know what I mean? So we were like, but now I'm like, oh, she's amazing. She's
She's
health
so
coaching me
loving.
right now.
Yeah,
And she's
such a good
understanding
coach.
how hard it is, because another thing that Janna and I have in common is our ridiculous health gut issues and all that. And I'm still just on tons of supplements and peptides and medicine, and it helps so much, but it's just like
It's hard to do. It's hard to keep up that regimen.
it's so much work.
I know. I was just thinking.
And then when everybody's eating like your favorite foods in front of you and you're just like, oh. You horrible person.
Yeah, seriously. Especially if you try to go out to eat with anyone. Like, I have this group of ladies that I go out to eat with. We do it once a month, or we try to, and they'll suggest something. I'm like, I can't have that. I can't have that. And I feel like a bitch. I'm like,
I feel like that, like, I'm, like, gluten-free, and I can't blah, 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 but it's like, no, dude, like, I really can't.
yeah, like, you
I'm
don't
gonna
want
be
to.
sick, it's not worth it.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm forced to be healthy.
Same. I mean, I'm a healthy person anyway, but
Yeah, me too.
I can't cheat on the
No.
diet.
No, and cheat days, it's like, oh, you're miserable, so it's not
Yeah,
worth it.
no, I can't.
No. Okay, anyways, let's get back to, so your parents are helping you. You've been in the hospital.
Yeah.
You don't remember anything. And then how is that to go back and not remember? Did you remember the abuse, or did you?
Yeah, I remembered like that stuff, like the emotional. I knew who he was as a person. Let's
Okay.
say that.
Okay.
But I think part of me, when I was trying to heal in the beginning, it was really weird. I came out of the hospital and I went straight to my parents' house, and I felt good. I felt like happy I just remember feeling this crazy positivity, and
Like safe.
yeah, and I don't know if it had to do with being safe or like just a coping mechanism for myself, because I couldn't, like, my brain couldn't comprehend that he had done it,
Yeah.
or maybe a little bit of both. But I stayed with them for over a month, and I can't remember like exactly how long it was, but they took turns taking off work to care for me. They essentially had to babysit me.
Yeah.
My grandmother would come over and babysit me. My sister Tamara was actually living, she had separated from her husband at the time, and she was living with them. And so on her days off from school, because she was in college, she would babysit me.
So everybody kind of took shifts. Helping.
Everyone took shifts. Jennifer did. But I eventually went back to my house, and I was just so sad about it, but I didn't understand why. And
It's like your intuitive body telling you.
Oh, yeah. It was like, oh, I don't want to be here, and it wasn't anything to do with my home. I liked my house. It was,
a feeling and energy in the house.
It was the energy.
Yeah.
Now he was on his best behavior for a while.
I bet he was.
Because, I mean, I'm sure, and he knew I didn't remember, so I think he was probably just...
He's like, this is a reset.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But eventually, true colors showed, and I just started thinking, because his behavior became more isolating. Like, for instance, I eventually became a teacher, because at the time when my accident happened, I wasn't a teacher. I was working at Baylor as a nutritionist, and I started thinking, man, I just wasn't making a lot of money, and I wasn't fulfilled, and I didn't agree with, I mean, there was all these things going on. So I started thinking, okay, what can I do to better myself? I need to be in a different situation. Well, he started getting more mean again. And so I'm a spiritual person. I believe in God. Not everyone does. But I started praying about it. I was like, I need to know what happened. Why do I not remember? And I was working with a neurologist at the time. I was on a lot of medication, because that's another thing. With a head injury, all of them are different, but I was in severe pain every day.
Yeah, I bet.
Every day. Like, if you've ever had a migraine, multiply that by about 100, and that's what I was going through every day. So it's hard to think when you're in pain.
No, I mean, how could you?
Yeah. So finally one day I went to bed, had a dream, and in my dream I remembered everything. Like, I went through the whole scenario, but I was dreaming about it. I woke up and I was like, holy shit, he did it. Holy cow. Like,
Just got chills.
Seriously, because
but I really believe in that. I've had premonitions in my life.
Same.
And if I always go away from my gut feeling,
bad things happen.
I think one of the reasons why I have such severe anxiety is because of the energy I can feel around me.
Yep. Same.
The empathic energy. I have to be very careful.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, dreams, I mean, I wouldn't say that I don't believe in God. I wouldn't say that. I just think that like I don't remember what it's called. I just believe there's truth to all religion.
Yeah.
You know, I believe they're like baselines for how to be a good person and how
Well,
to
yeah.
follow, you know,
Yeah, higher power
a
stuff.
higher
and-
power, but it's really more of like something you can feel. And whether
Yeah.
you're praying to a God or not, if you're putting your words into the universe
Yeah.
out loud, which is kind of one of the reasons why I'm doing this, because I've internalized so much
Yep.
instead of talking about it. That I found once we started talking about it, other people started talking about it. Other people started finding, you know,
Definitely.
ways to be empowered or to heal. And so I think when you pray, or even when you say, or when your good vibes, whatever
Yeah,
you
yeah,
send
whatever you want to
out,
call it.
yeah, it does. They do hear you, and it
Yeah.
does come back to you.
Yeah. And it whether you believe in a higher power or just the power of positive thinking, or, you know, like you said, you're just putting something out there. I woke up that morning and I confronted him, which probably, hindsight, probably wasn't smart.
But I know we're the same way. It's like, oh, I gotta get to the bottom of it
And
now.
I wasn't
Yeah.
even mad about it, actually.
You were just asking.
I was just
Yeah.
like, I just went to him, and I remember exactly where we were standing in our house. And I looked at, because I woke up and he was in the kitchen. I came in there and I looked at him straight in the eye and I said, "You did this." And he just looked, his eyes got big, put his head down, and he didn't say anything to me.
Yeah, you could see it.
And so after that, I was like, I'm not going to be in this place forever. I'm not doing this. And then, like, even after that, he wanted to go to counseling. I mean, there was so much. I couldn't even, I could, my story would take like weeks to tell.
Yeah, you don't have to get 100% into it.
But one thing he was doing was isolating and isolating and isolating me more after that. And the financial thing, that was his other way to isolate me, because I could never get out. So I became a teacher. I was like, I'm going to do this. So with my head injury, still unable to remember things, still in a lot of pain, I went and I got certified as a teacher. Which there again, that like kind of speaks to the, if you want it, if you want certain things, you tell yourself, I can do this, because that was not easy, like the studying and all the things.
Seriously, people, I mean, financial is seriously the only reason I stayed. It was constantly be telling me that I wouldn't be able to. And then you go back to another situation where you have nothing.
Yep.
Who wants
Yep.
to move back in with their parents with nothing, with 2 kids, and go, hey, I
Yep.
failed?
Yeah.
But
And
that's
yeah.
not what it is. You're not failing. I have $0 right now, and I am happier than I've ever been in my life.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, there's a lot of embarrassment that comes with people who have been in an abusive relationship, especially if you're prideful. I mean, I'm not bad prideful, but you know, like, I'm a proud person. I stand on my own 2 feet. I don't like help. I don't like asking for
Yeah,
help.
when you're independent like that, and you
Yeah.
feel like, no, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, and you're telling everybody that, and
Then that happens.
then that happens.
And my parents didn't know, they didn't really know what happened.
No, mine
and,
didn't.
you know, yeah,
Just keep it quiet.
exactly.
Because I didn't want him to get in trouble.
So stupid.
You know, this is something else I was saying to myself the other day. I was like, it's so funny because I'm watching this every day, everywhere. When you're a child and something happens, they say, well, find an adult and tell them.
So why don't you do that as an adult?
So even when you're an adult,
Find somebody and
tell
them.
them. But sometimes when you're a child or an adult and you find somebody and tell them, they're like, shh.
Yeah. Or what did you do?
Or
Like,
what? Yeah,
why-
what did you do?
What did you
Why
do
did
to
you
cause
get
that?
yourself in this situation?
Why didn't you leave? Why didn't you blah blah
Oh my
A B C D?
God! And
Yeah.
so that's where all the shame and the guilt comes from, because you constantly, oh, it must have been something I did.
It's a societal thing.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
deserve this because I did something that made him angry.
Yeah. Yep.
Something, you know, it was just
Oh,
like
yeah.
such a mental mind fuck that just really does create these like roads and neuron paths to the in the wrong direction.
Uh-huh.
And then you become, you know, but it only takes one, like, I can do this to start changing it.
Yep. Yep.
And that's so empowering to just have one person go, no, 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 that's bullshit. You shouldn't take that. I'm going to help you get out of this.
Well, I think like with me, I didn't want to have to rely on other people. That's kind of how it began. And then I will go to my first doctor that I started seeing, Dr. DeCarty. So Tara, who we were talking about earlier, my oldest sister, her and Brandon, her current husband, were friends before they ever got together because they were in previous marriages. They were just friends. Well, she would go and watch him speak about certain things because she's a health nut. She likes to know about all these things, and she was going through her own health issues, went to watch him speak. She ended up sitting next to this doctor named Dr. DeCarty. And he's very homeopathic. He's a naturopath. I mean, however you want to, he's a doctor, but he's also a chiropractor. And anyway, so she sat next to him. She started seeing him as like doctor-patient relationship for her own health ailments. Well, when my head injury happened and I couldn't get any help, like my neurologist, he was great. He did what he could for me. I believe he saved me when I was at the hospital.
Yeah.
But there was a certain point where he just said, I can't do anything. He literally said, I don't know what else to do for you. You're going to be in pain the rest of your life. And I didn't accept that. I was like, no, I'm not. No. So Tara, she brought me to Dr. DeCarty. She paid for it. And he was, as you know, natural doctors, insurance doesn't cover it.
Nope, insurance does not cover it.
So I started seeing him. And I think that was the spark for me. He was my first person that was, I had never said out loud to anyone what happened.
That's hard to tell strangers too in the first time.
Yeah. and the first time I saw him, I was like crying in his office because he's like, well, tell me about why you're here. And so I started, and then he just kept on asking questions and questions. And I couldn't say I fell off a bed to this genius man. He's like,
Yeah.
So
with that bad of a head injury.
Yeah. So I told him what happened, and I'm like bawling, and he like just was shocked, and I don't know. So I started seeing him. I'm sorry, I don't want to go on a tangent.
No, this is such an important podcast to me, and having you here, I don't really care if we go over time.
Josh is like,
I already told him.
But so I started seeing him, and that was the first hope I had in over a year, because this was a little over a year after my head injury, I think. That I started seeing him, and he was like, I can get you out of pain. Like, we can do this, but it's going to take all these things and supplements and, all of this stuff. Like, he had me doing the craziest stuff. He would have me walk backwards down his hall, saying my ABCs backwards, turn this way and then rub your head, and then turn this way and rub your belly. I mean, just stuff that if you were watching, you'd be like, what is this quack doing to this person? But if you've ever seen a doctor like that, and it's funny, he would do this thing. He would go like this, and you're negative today. And he'd just do this and go like, get rid of that. And so that was when I really started to think a different way and try to, okay, what can I do? And so I started reading and researching, and my degree is in nutrition. So I was like, okay, well, what can I put in my body? I know this, I can't like just rub my head and go, oh, you're done. You're fixed.
Yeah, no.
So I just like started absorbing everything I could, read everything I could, taking my supplements. Well, I remember one time I went to see Dr. DeCarty. I hurt so bad I couldn't drive right at that time. Tara drove me. And I went there, and I had never been a day without pain since my head injury.
Yeah, that's a long time.
That is a very long time. Over a year, the worst debilitating pain I've ever been in. I've had 3 kids, had one of them naturally, doesn't hold a candle to this pain. Okay. So I went there, and he I don't even remember what he did, but he worked on me for over an hour, and I walked out for the first time without pain since my head injury. And that was like the turning point for me.
Like, you can't not believe it
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what else. Like, I'm trying to.
Well, when I was 15, I don't know if you remember this. There was a time when I was kind of gone. I was really sick at 15. I got mononucleosis and it turned into Epstein-Barr
Bar.
virus and I got really sick because of it.
You were having like a lot of
Well, this
digestive
was
issues
later.
after, right?
Well, this was when I was 15. I
Okay.
mean, I don't remember if it was digestive. I think it was more anxiety.
Oh,
That's
okay.
when my panic attacks started really bad.
Oh, okay.
And I went to my mom did the same things to me. All these doctors is always,
What can we do?
and that's what happened the second time. I did again with Dr. Brock. What led me to Dr. Brock was me going down paths and finding out that every time I took medicine, I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. Like I would go to doctors and you need to go to this doctor. And I got into financial debt just by going to doctors and
Seriously.
running every test there was to run.
Same.
But before that, when I was 15, and I forgot about it, as an adult.
Yeah.
I went on living life, but I was on a gluten-free diet when I was 15. I was on, he had found that I was allergic to cheese by doing the silly, like holding the thing and pushing
Yep.
my arm down.
Same thing with Dr.
And I was,
DeCardi.
and
Yeah.
everybody's like, that's not real. And I'm like, but if it's not real, then how come every supplement that I took and all the Epsom salt baths and all this, changing my diet, how come all of that worked?
Seriously.
Why is that what worked when nothing else would work?
Was he the type of doctor, he would make like a...
Yeah, he'd make the little
Yeah,
things for me. And I
that's what
can't
Dr.
find him
DeCardi.
again. Like I couldn't find him after that. But, and I got better. I remember getting better. And my mom said that I just kind of took off like, okay, I'm better now. Bye. Like I
Because
was
it's
like,
hard to
peace.
maintain
Yeah.
that.
Well, and I was young.
Yeah. Yeah.
So eventually with everybody going, why can't you eat that? And why can't you? And I just gave up and did it,
Yeah.
And things were okay for a while, but, whenever I got stressed and my dad died and we split up and I started getting this pain in my lower left quadrant and nobody could figure out what it was. And I went on a journey of so many people and Christy would take me to the emergency room or my mom and she's just in so much pain.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know where it is. Maybe you should take him here.
But
Maybe
that doesn't mean there's not something there.
No.
That just because
and I
you're
still,
not
I still get it. And if I go off of my, if I don't stick to things, I still get pains and I still break out in allergies and everything starts to hurt. And if I get stressed out, so it's really hard because I have to balance it. If I let things get stressed out, then I get sick. And then,
seriously.
And then the whole world shuts down again. And then everything goes, then it's like,
what do I do now?
then everything gets put on the back burner. Yeah. So, let's talk about after
DeCardi. Dr. D.
I know, I'm so dyslexic too, so it's hard.
Okay. That's a hard name.
Yeah, speaking of dyslexia, I'm so sorry to shout Josh out at this. Love your guts. But we did on the last episode put a warning about suicide, and it said 998, and I want to clarify it is 988. 988, right? Okay, all right, cool. Just so that you don't get confused and start trying to do 998, and they're like, why isn't this working? It's the 988. I probably just confused everybody. They're probably like, crap, we're just going to have to try both of them. Oh, well. But anyways, okay, so let's go into DeCardi. So your sister wasn't with Dr. Brock at that time.
No.
But then as she did, and you were still having some issues, right?
Yes, so I saw Dr. DeCardi and I started healing. I decided I'm going to leave this person I'm with eventually and started trying to put things in place for that to happen. Yeah. I couldn't really see, I started to see Dr. DeCardi less because it did get expensive. My sister paid for it for a while. She went through her own divorce. Couldn't pay for my health. So I was paying for it. And then I was like, okay, I need to leave my current husband. So I stopped seeing Dr. DeCardi, and he moved to another state anyways.
Okay.
So I just kind of like, I was like, okay, I'm just going to do the best I can, take what supplements I can and everything. Well, it started getting bad again because I was going through, when I decided to leave, that's very stressful. Things were escalating at home. He was isolating me so much. He was not helping financial with anything. At this time, I was a teacher, so I was literally paying for every bill we had, mine
Yeah.
and his. Everything. The only thing he helped me with financially was he would buy groceries, but he paid in cash. He didn't put any money in our account. So on a teacher's salary with 2 kids, with a house payment and a car payment, I was paying for all of that by myself, essentially, while still technically married and technically in this relationship. So Tara and Brandon got together, and I was helping her one day because she was a teacher and she had quit teaching, and I was going through her stuff like, oh, what can I bring to my classroom?
Yeah.
But I was at a really low point because at this point I was like, how can I go on disability, and can I like pay for everything if I go on disability? Because I was in so much pain again.
Yeah.
Which you talked about stress, like it really sends your body into shock, essentially. Like,
Well, and when I was leaving and doing the same thing, separating and moving into here, and then my brother and all of his family moved in here, and that was like we didn't clash well.
yeah,
And my dad died. They were
Yeah.
like, people would be like, Haley, you're not feeling well because you're stressed out, and I'm like, I'm not stressed. I've got everything under control. I've got, because I was just in this. I got it under
Yeah,
control.
you have
I got
to
this
do
step. I got to
everything.
do this to make sure that.
your survival mode.
Yeah, for so long, and then finally it was like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm stressed out, because
maybe.
they would say you have the 3 stressors, like the main 3 stressors that people go through: a job change, moving, and divorce,
Well, and your father.
and death.
Yeah.
So yeah, it like
It's a lot.
yeah, and you don't recognize it because you're just
You're just trying to keep everything together.
yeah,
Yeah.
just trying to swim with your head like
Like, let me put a straw up
yeah
above
Can
the
we
water.
keep breathing? Yeah.
Yeah. So at that time, like, her and Brandon were together, and she was like, look, I have this friend. I had met him like just in passing, but I didn't know him. And she was like, Brandon can help you. I'm convinced he can help you. Like, just come see him, see what he can do. So I was like, okay, reluctantly, like, oh, but no.
I was reluctant too.
Yeah. Until I was like, but.
Yeah, until you were like, you should go see him, and I was like, you know what?
So I started seeing him, and that, like, I was trying to leave Jeremy, and so when I went to see him, Tara was there, but she stepped out of the room so I could talk to Brandon, and he looked me in the eye and he was like, "You're worthy. You know that?" I was like, "Huh?"
What?
I was like, "What this man? I don't even know you hardly." And he's
Why
like,
are you telling me I'm worthy?
yeah, he was like, "You deserve more than that." He was like, "You're worthy of love. You're amazing and intelligent." And he was like, "This is not going to kill you. It didn't." He was like, "Pick yourself back up and decide what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, and do it." I was like, "Okay.
All right,
yeah,
Dad.
yeah, okay."
Okay.
So after that, like, I put things into place. I separated from Jeremy, got the divorce stuff actually going, and then Brandon started seeing me, and it was just like all these things started opening up. Being attacked again.
I know. I'll sit up. Sorry.
And then he even, like, I saw him for things like he was so amazing. I would be in pain, and like debilitating pain, couldn't drive type pain. And he'd be like, "Come over to my house," and he would inject steroids into the back of my skull, with this big old needle. I mean, scary, but felt good at the time because it made it feel better. He would do things like that. And he's like, "Let me adjust you." And
Oh yeah, he adjusted me one time. I was like, yes, please.
yes. And I
Yes.
mean, I remember this one time he was doing a talk because he's a doctor and he had all these doctors at his house. He's like, "Come on over, it's fine. I'll show them how to do this." So I'm
I'll
like
use
like
it
a
as
guinea
learning.
pig. Yes, I'm like sitting in the middle of all these doctors, and I'm like, He's like, this is how you do blah, blah, blah. And like injecting the back of my skull while they were watching. But that's the kind of person he was.
Yeah, no, he's so intelligent.
Oh, yeah, I can't keep up.
And such a good guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, he makes me like it was very uncomfortable to go in there and be like, and he made me feel so comfortable, but it was still uncomfortable. And like then it was even more weird because of how comfortable he made me feel.
Yeah. Yep.
And I was like, I feel like I'm talking to a friend.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I really do feel that way. And
there's a lot to be said about a doctor who does not make you feel stupid and who actually listens when you say, this is not right.
Yeah.
Something is going on, something else, nobody is caught or whatever. What is happening?
Yeah, yeah. Because at that point, before I ever even went to him, I had been non-diagnosed and diagnosed with so many different things. And it was like every medicine that they gave me to take would cause another trickle effect.
Yes.
And I think he's the one that found out that I have the MTHFR.
Yeah.
Which I call it the motherfucker.
Yeah. Me and Tara have that too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm on the B12 supplements every day, in a specific form. And, you know, it's just, there's so many bad medicines out there that if you like don't know what you're doing and you don't actually go get your vitamins tested and stuff, then you could really be taking the wrong thing, thinking you're taking something right. You know, like we could be taking B12 over the counter and it could actually be poisoning us because it's not
demethylated or methylated. Well, because it depends on how the gene which one you have. Yeah,
it's pretty cool phenomenon, and I think that Dr. Brock is ahead of medicine.
Oh God, he is.
And
he's a pioneer.
He really is, and he was the first doctor that I went to that wasn't like, stop taking your antidepressant and only, like, I was going to doctors that were going, no, you need to be on more medication. You need to be on anxiety meds. You need to come here once a month and get on this, and you just need a higher dose, and you just,
oh my gosh.
Oh, you need to go get, like, I have gastrointestinal issues a lot, and they'd be like, you just need to be on Zyrtec or
seriously.
I
wish I had $1 for every
need
doctor
to be
that told
on,
me that.
Zantac. And you need to be on, and
and
all that, I would start to get like clogged up and like just feel all my lymph nodes would swell and my body would ache and I was skin issues,
joint issues.
And so, yeah, when I finally started doing jujitsu and just becoming an advocate for my own health,
yes,
I would say that's the most important thing.
I think so too.
Stay with your intuition and be an advocate for your own health, because the minute you start letting all these doctors dictate what your body takes is the minute you lose sight of your own intuition, your own, like, you just start not knowing.
Well, I think that's the difference between Dr. Brock and a lot of doctors is he has the human aspect. Like, he takes that into consideration.
Like, he does both sides of it.
You're not a number, you're a person, and if you're telling me something, like the patient is telling him something, then that's not a patient. He's like, oh, there's something to that. Now let me get behind that. What is causing it? And a lot of doctors, they're going to treat a symptom and not the cause. And he wants to get to the cause. Like, why is that happening? And then what is that happening for? And he just goes down the rabbit hole. He
understands, this is what I would say, he understands that your body is 100% connected from head to toe. Where other doctors are all separate. They've only like just specialized in one situation, or they haven't gone any deeper into. They only know what they've been taught by a medical school that's run by a pharmaceutical company that's trying to make all the money in the world on the pharmaceutical end, and they don't care about the side effects because that makes them more money.
Well, it's interesting because that's the way medicine used to be practiced long time ago, and in other countries it is practiced like that. It's just we don't practice it here, or not very many people do that way. Like, okay, let me just see what all is going on as a whole, not just all these things. He was the first person who told me about the vagus nerve. And do you know what the vagus? Okay, I figured you did.
Oh my gosh.
Which, I mean, if you have a head injury and you're having gut problems, that's your brain connecting to your gut, because there are actually neurons in your gut that work the same way your brain does, like the neurons in your brain. It's the only other place in your body that has neurons besides your brain. So your gut is smart. If something is wrong with your gut, it's literally, there's a reason why it's called gut feeling, because your gut is smart. It's telling you something's not right with your body. This is probably a symptom. Now, what else is there?
Yeah.
So
I listen to my gut now like 100%.
oh yeah.
I have like, I think the other day I walked into the gym and there was this thing called Bob. And Josh thought it would be funny to put arms on it and make it look like really even more human. And
Is it the thing you kick?
it's like, yeah, the bob that you hit, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is so much fun to do palm heel strikes
Oh,
on.
yeah,
You're just like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
When I trained, we would work with Bob.
Yeah. So I beat Bob up. But when I opened the door and I saw this big shadow guy, I said, motherfucker. And I was like, my stomach just, I grabbed my stomach. I was like, oh my God. And I was sick for like, a while.
Gotcha.
Huh?
Gotcha.
That's not
Yeah.
nice.
And then he's like, yeah, gotcha. He did to Christina too, though. Christina said the same thing. She was like, oh my God. Scared me.
Gut is smart though.
It is smart. So, yeah, I don't know. I thank you so much for letting me, or for sharing Dr. Brock with me and telling me who he is. And, yeah, he feels like a big brother.
He is. Yeah.
A lot. Yeah, he really does feel like a big brother. And I messaged him the other day because I've had a really rough week. And I was like telling him that I was starting to feel detached. And I guess you probably know what that means. But like when a stress comes in and it's just like so much and you don't really, like everything just starts to feel kind of fake. And like,
Yeah.
what is even going on?
Yeah.
And
It's like
so-
an out of body experience.
Yeah, like an
almost.
out of body experience that I have with anxiety attacks and stuff, but I don't, it's like when you don't feel like you're actually having the panic, but you have the worry and the like, you just don't feel like anything's real. And it's just because, I don't know, life just gets ridiculous sometimes. And, but he was just so, hey, let me help you immediately. And I'll see you. Come see me. Come see me. And he was just amazing.
He really is.
And I will say, yeah, it's expensive, but
Yeah.
but the investment that I put into my this health versus like all the debt that I've acquired from emergency rooms
Seriously.
and endoscopes and colonoscopies and
Oh, yep. Had those.
x-rays being turned upside down and MRIs and body scans and
CTs
blah,
and-
blah,
yep, yep,
blah.
Yep.
Ugh. The barium they gave me made me sick.
Oh, yeah. That stuff's disgusting.
Yeah. And so yeah. So I think that was the most important thing because for me, you and I are both like a walking explanation of, or not explanation, example. I was like explanation. Could be, I guess.
E
It
word.
could. Yeah. E. Dyslexia. Example of how you don't have to get stuck.
No.
And I think one of the biggest things that hurts my heart is like, I'm not making money doing this. I'm doing it because of an experience that I've had and how I've seen that other people really can come out on the other side. It's just
Yeah.
a mindset.
It really is. And, I'm a teacher now, and I tell my students all the time, and my own kids, like, especially Maddox, like my own child, he's very negative naturally. So I have to tell him all the time, like, okay, let's think of something positive. And I was listening to one of your podcasts recently, and y'all were talking about how you started distancing yourself from like the negative things in your life or people. And I was like, that I do that too, but I didn't even realize that was on my path. Like I didn't realize that was part of my wellness. It didn't occur to me. It was just something I started naturally doing. But there's a lot to be said about power of positivity because, you know, you put these people in your life, like you can strategically start to heal yourself. Like, yes, you need other people sometimes. Yes, you need doctors and practitioners and people who know what they're doing, but none of that is going to work if you are constantly, well, I'm going to be in pain. This is going to affect me the rest of my life, blah, 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 blah. And so I just started thinking, okay, well, what good? What is the good? Where can I go from there? So
I pretty much almost don't want to be around you if you have negative tendencies.
oh, I will flat out tell people I don't care. I'm like,
Yeah,
nope,
I
nope.
and it's hard because, you know, a lot of them can be family members and they can be people close to you that you've grown up with.
Yep.
It can be so many people that and it's the same. It's not always a relationship like a boyfriend and girlfriend or husband. I
No.
mean, it can be anything. And, you know, the worst part is like when you do start distancing yourself from people, sometimes words and situations get lost in translation.
Oh God, yeah.
And we don't have to specify on anything, but like an example is when we were at Walmart and we're walking around and you're going, is this why you haven't been around? Is this what really happened? And me go, yeah. And you're going, well, they never said any of that to me.
Yep.
You know, you
Yep.
had no idea because what am I doing again? Protecting a bad person who did something bad to me, a person that said, you should leave this person because they're bad to you. And then they did something bad to me and wanted me to shut my mouth, right?
Yep. Yep.
And in that process, all these stories got told about me, and all these other people that I cared about started giving me abuse because they were trying to protect their own abusive situations.
Yep.
And so in order for me to not have that anymore, I had to shut it off.
It's really, that is something people don't teach you how to do. It's like you learn it because you've lived it. And that is another thing. I didn't even talk about this part, but when I left, you know, and went through my divorce and got with Jared, you know, my current husband,
Who we love so much.
he's amazing.
I love Jared.
And we moved, and like I was sad to move at the time because I was moving away from a lot of people, but it was one of the most positive things that's ever happened in my life because it really removed me. Not everyone that was who I was living around was negative.
No.
But there were certain people that it just literally removed me right out of that situation, and I could just have this block all the time. And I would still maybe sometimes experience negative people, and I could be like, okay, and I'm just going to take a little bit of that, and then I'm going to walk away from it and go back to my happy place where I live and my happy family and my husband, and I can just brush it off now. It's not going to stick with me. And as an empath, that is a really, really hard thing to do, and nobody teaches it to you, like I said. You just have to learn how to just be like, okay, I'm going to take that in, but I'm not going to keep it here. I'm going to push it back out.
Yeah, it is so hard.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, you start to just, like, we're wise, we know. You start to see it and spot it so quick. And there's certain times I meet people and I'm like,
Nope.
You're probably a really sweet person and you're probably, you know, could come out on the other side okay, but you're not ready to help yourself. And I am not going to let you suck the life out of me trying to help you with your problem and that's not what you want. That would make me an enabler when I've been that before and not known I was. And now I know that I don't want to be an enabler because I'm showing you more love by protecting my own mental health and letting you figure it out for yourself. Yep. And the bottom line is, like, you can't make somebody else be another way. So if you're in a bad relationship and they're not taking any steps to help themselves, they're never going to.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't make somebody else do something. And something else, like, you can love somebody from afar and be like, I love you. I'm going to tell you my piece. And then do this and let you live your life over there, and I'm gonna come back to my happy place, and just
and there should never be guilt around that.
There shouldn't, and that took me a really amazing therapist to work through that, with the PTSD and all the guilt and all the
Yes.
things.
That's something that I struggled with for such a long time. I was just driven by guilt, people pleasing, taking care of. Okay.
I saw a light. I was like, eh?
I was like, what's going on over there? Hosway.
Every 13 minutes it shuts off.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I was distracted.
Yeah, I was like, the light. What?
Squirrel.
Right?
If you notice on just about every podcast, I'm like, I forgot what I was saying. That's a side effect, I'm pretty sure, of trauma, right? Okay.
Seriously. Or life. I don't know.
Or life. Have you ever, me and my friend Victoria talked about this. Have you ever had those days where you just sit on the end of your bed and stare at the wall for so long and then you're like,
What am I doing? What? Oh,
where am I?
I feel like a computer. Like it just like
Yeah.
everything shuts off and then it comes back and oh, okay, I'm
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
I don't know. What was I doing?
That's weird.
Too many tabs open.
Yeah, you got malfunctioned for a little
Right?
while. That's why he was making you walk backwards and do
Felt
He's
like
we need to rewire you.
That's exactly what he would call it too.
Yeah.
It's just the brain is really cool. I'm not smart enough to understand it. Most people, I mean, nobody understands it to be fair, but yeah, the brain is
Yeah,
crazy.
I'm trying to do the work as much as I can on my own, but it would be really cool one day whenever I can afford it to go to do some of those some of the brain therapies just to
So,
see if
I did that.
Yeah, I know, and you wrote that down, and I'm
Yeah.
like so intrigued because I feel like it could really help my anxiety and like the way my brain
Oh yeah.
goes into fight or flight for like just driving down the road.
So there's two different things I did that helped with that. One of them was through Brandon. He was working at a place who's no longer around now, but it was like a neuro rehabilitation place. And so I went for an entire week, all day, 8 hours a day, 5 days. Which when you're doing brain rehabilitation, it's like exhausting. I would
Oh,
go
I
home and
could
just
only
pass out.
imagine.
But I did that and it was really cool. I don't even remember all the things we did, but I worked with different therapists there, like I say therapists, doctors, who specialized in different things.
Yeah, yeah.
And Brandon was one. There were a couple other doctors. They put me on this chair. It was like this chair that NASA developed, and it would like turn you around and spin you and do all this crazy stuff. And it made me really dizzy.
Oh, yeah, I would be dizzy and
And
belching.
It was yeah, like I'm like, and he would have to be careful because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna vomit.
Yeah.
But there was all this cool stuff. I don't even remember all the stuff we did. And then they gave me like exercises to do essentially for the rest of my life.
Yeah, with your brain.
Yeah. And then the other thing I did was I saw a therapist who specialized in post-traumatic stress disorder. And so it was like I needed the emotional and then I needed the physical. And when those two things started coming together, because I did them pretty like right around the same time, that's when I really started feeling like the person I should be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I had been almost in the haze of physical trauma, of emotional trauma, of trying to get myself out of that and then starting another relationship. All those things, it's just like I felt like I was in a haze for a while, honestly.
That's why this is Hazey, Healing with Hazey.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like.
Because it feels like the last 5 or 6 years are just kind of like, and then before, it's almost like I've put everything in a haze. I've just put it down. I can't remember a lot of stuff. And I didn't even have a head trauma. I just can't.
That's just your body
It's
protecting
just so
itself.
many things happen back to back to back to back to back to back
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't have time to like process it or anything. I've talked about it, but
Yeah.
and it's not like a secret or anything. It's just
No.
it's just your body goes through some stuff and you're just like, what the fuck? What's happening? And the other thing is like once I finally feel so happy, I'm almost like,
What is this? Yeah.
what's gonna happen?
Yes.
Like I can't just wrap my head around being happy.
That's
I
why
can't
had
just
to
wrap
go
my
to the
head around a
therapist.
compliment. I can't.
Yes.
It's very uncomfortable.
So with that being said, it's funny you mentioned that because I, went to the therapist and then I was in this amazing relationship. One day we were at church and I started getting really bad headaches. And this was recently. This was like 2-3 years ago. And the pastor was talking about this stuff and he's like, if you need healing or whatever, I just for whatever reason felt compelled to go talk to him. I was like, yep, need to talk to you.
Yeah.
And he had really good energy. And so I went and he just looked at me and he was like, okay, what's going on? Because you're in a lot of pain. And I was like, yes, I'm having headaches. And he said, yes, you're in physical pain, but what's the other? I was like, oh. I was like, well, I was in an abusive relationship. And he said, you got to let it. He just looked at me and he was like, you got to let it go. He was like, you have to forgive.
Oh
and
my
I was like,
God, somebody told me that too.
but I will tell you this.
I've
And
had
then
a few people tell me that.
and he looked at Jared and he was like, do you love this man? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, he wants to love you. He wants to, no, that's not what he said. He said, he wants you to let him love you. He was like, he loves you so much. I can feel it from him. But he was like, you don't let him. And I was like, oh shit. Like, oh, well, how'd you read all that? So that was like the very last step in a lot of my healing. I just had to let it go.
Yeah,
like
I know.
Frozen knew what they were talking about.
I even had my tarot cards read, and that was something she said to me. She said,
Yep.
and it was like chilling. I was like, ugh, because she went so deep. It was
I've had
like
that happen
you're
too.
holding on to how things were supposed to be, and you're not letting go, and like, which I didn't realize I was. But yeah, there's a part of you like, oh, it's supposed to be this way, and
Yeah.
it didn't work out, and like she's like, you have to just let how it was supposed to be go, because
Yes.
it's not, and there is no supposed to be. There's no.
Change it. Change your
Yeah.
narrative.
Yes, change your own narrative
Yes.
by saying the right things, doing the right things, following the right people, cutting off those. If your gut says you should do it, if you're listening right now and your gut says you should get out of this situation, then just do it. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I have nothing when it comes to like things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a few things here and there, but I don't own a home. I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't have all this money in the world. I don't have assets. I don't have things. I have hardly anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more free and happy
Yeah.
being that person than being a slave to anything that makes me unhappy.
Well, because that could be letting go of a job. It can
Anything.
be anything. Yeah, like you don't like it, you're in charge. Like,
Yeah, money is not the root of everything. I mean, it's
No.
something that we need to survive, but there's people that will help you.
Oh yeah.
Everywhere. There's shelters, there's people, there's just housing, you just have to look for it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I actually looked into all that when I was leaving, and I tried to figure out like what are the repercussions if I were to tell law enforcement, and then if I get kicked out of my house, like you never know what's going to happen and how a judge is going to judge things. And so
I was terrified of judges.
it is terrifying because people like who we were with are very manipulative, and judges hopefully see through that because that's what they do for a living, but you hear these horror stories where they don't see through it. And so I don't know, there's always something, there's always a way.
There is, yeah. And it's like, I think I would have to say, don't like make it less than it is. Like we were talking about that earlier. Don't make it less than it
Yeah.
is, because it took pretty much Josh going, that's not normal. Like
That was Jennifer for me.
they shouldn't do that to you. That's not normal.
Yes.
And you're going, oh, people don't treat everybody like that. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know. Then once it's like once I've figured out like, oh, I don't have to take this. Oh, I don't have to do what he says. I don't have to be with him. I don't have to live in this house. I can do whatever I want to do. I just have to take a leap of faith and do it. And
Yeah.
just know that everything's going to work out.
Yeah.
As long as you're happy and going down the right way, it's going to work out. And like it's always gonna be with you though.
Yeah. Oh,
You're
it
gonna
is.
have to put in the work.
I just have to check myself because
Yeah,
Jared will,
that's one thing I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
That's like usually the ending. What do you do? All the things you do that you could help people. What do you do to heal?
like, so now, I mean, obviously I've done all the work with doctors and all that stuff, but now I constantly have, well, I won't say constantly. I do check myself. So
Yeah,
if
I check in with myself too.
feel myself comparing what's happening right now to something that happened with him, especially in my current marriage and my relationship, like Jared will do something that is completely innocent, like he's not doing anything wrong, and I find myself putting
Triggered.
I'm triggered and I put myself, but when I'm thinking of it, I'm thinking in past tense and I can picture myself in past tense. Then I just have to stop, take a breath and go, are you safe? Are you happy? Is he safe? Is he helping with your happiness, like contributing to your happiness? Okay. I'm
Yeah.
okay. I'm okay. That's not him. He is not him.
Yeah.
Jared is not my past, you
Yeah.
know? And I just, and it's not just with him. It's just that's like, especially when we were first together, it would happen more, you know?
Yeah, well,
obviously.
it's because it's ways of your body just automatically trying to protect yourself from something that you recognize, and
Yeah.
not everybody's the same, and
No,
you
because these
know.
were things that were, there was nothing wrong, but I was like, oh my God, but, you know, and so you just have to, that's what I constantly do. So I do that. Obviously, eating healthy, just this is what you put in your body is what you're going to get out of your body.
100%.
So,
And so I want to plug your sister because she's a health coach.
she is a health coach.
And I want to plug Dr.
Brock.
Brandon Brock.
Yep.
While we're here, because they work at
Carpathia.
Carpathia.
Or no, Carpathia. Sorry.
Carpathia Collaboratives.
Yes.
And
in
that-
Dallas.
In Dallas. That place is amazing. It's very like welcoming.
Oh God. Everyone there is amazing too.
Everyone's there is amazing. It feels like a home environment.
Mm-hmm.
He lets me bring my Winston with me. My little service animal.
I went there a couple of times while I was pregnant because I was having some thyroid problems. But yeah, they're so amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
And Tara, her sister Tara, is a health coach, and she's helping me with. I'm doing an elimination anti-inflammatory diet right now.
Which is hard if you do not have.
I pretty much eat like 4 or 5 things. Period.
Oh, I did it when I went through SIBO and
Yeah.
couldn't eat anything, and it's hard.
Yeah, and I remember that too. And you were actually the one that told me, like, I was doing it just by reading stuff online. I was trying to be my own advocate.
But you have to have the meds.
Yeah, I have to have the meds. And then that's when Janna was like, we were ordering food at like a spa or something. And you were like, you know, if you get soy, that's gluten. And I'm like, what? And you're like, you got to get it without the soy. And I'm like, okay. So like I was still doing little, but it's little, like you have to look at every ingredient.
Everything.
And I'm just saying, if there's a ton of ingredients in it, it is
Don't
not
eat it.
what you need
Don't
to be
eat it.
eating.
Don't eat it.
You get the most minimal ingredients. And really, like, if you care about yourself, you know, think about what you put into your body.
Well, this, I do want to say, your body cannot heal. It is physically impossible to heal when you are inflamed. Like, it has been scientifically proven. If you are inflamed, that means, like, especially if you have gut stuff going on, you're inflamed. If you're in pain all the time, you're inflamed. Like, you can't heal. It is impossible.
Yeah, it is impossible. And I honestly, I have to sweat a lot to help get the toxins out of my body, just because I just don't naturally
Yeah.
get them out very well. So I do detox baths. When we do jujitsu,
Do you do the dry brushing?
I do. I
love
was
dry
actually
brushing.
I was just telling someone about that. And one thing is, like my lymph nodes swell a lot, so I have a lot of knots from that over time. They just like build up deposits.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get really tense, like I like to do the brushing,
Mm-hmm.
and it really does make my lymphatic system feel like it's flowing.
Yeah.
I have infrared lights over there.
Oh, that's
sometimes,
awesome. I
yeah,
worked with
sometimes
those
we put them
before.
in the just like, you know, in the shower.
Yeah.
And like
You don't
let
need it
'em-
for very long.
No, I hurt my knee, so I haven't been able to do jujitsu, and I've been doing that, and just thinking. I know it's not
Start
but
every day off with positive thoughts.
positive
End it
thinking.
with
It's
positive
gonna get
thoughts.
better. It's not gonna stay a long time. You're gonna be able to do jujitsu. It is working to heal itself, and as long as my brain is going, yeah, those muscles are working, then I think you're really sending messages to help versus sending negative messages, because if negative messages go, then you're not sending, you're sending that to your body going like, oh, I'm hurt, it's gonna hurt forever, it's gonna
Yep.
and you're causing it worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really trying to just be like, okay, I know that it's working today to heal itself.
Well, I understand that because I mean, I had a baby like 9 months ago, and I haven't been able to work out just as much like my version of what I used to do, just because it's busy and all the things. But you do have to tell yourself positive things because, like now, my workouts are we'll go for a walk, or I
Yeah.
might have 10 minutes to do abs or whatever, or I'm just going
And
to
you
do
need that.
I do, but I had to tell myself, like I had to stop saying that's not good enough.
Yeah.
Because if I go on a 4 mile walk, I still was moving. I'm connecting with my child. I'm listening to another thing. I watch what I listen to because I listen to a lot of podcasts and positive, I don't know, better like music that's not always so draining, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does kind of want to change. I at one point was and it's so funny, Janna, because all I could think about while I was putting on my makeup and getting ready was a flashback to your bedroom
Which one?
when we were kids. The one at the front where the window
Yeah,
was.
yeah, but
the
I
one
mean-
where we had peeping toms.
Oh, okay. And my dad would chase him with his gun.
Yeah, you remember that? We had somebody staring at the window at us. We were like, "Who is
did
this?"
have a stalker for a
that?
little
Yeah.
bit. It was God. He lived down the street from me. I don't remember
You
his
figured
name.
out who it was.
Yeah. Because I don't even remember. I think he was friends with somebody. I don't even remember who it was. Who he was friends with. I think his name was Shay. I don't know. I figured out who he was. But,
Yeah, I remember we were dancing one time, and was it you or Gina goes, "There's a man,"
Probably Gina.
and I was like, "What?" And
she
of
was
course,
paranoid.
Gina was always paranoid, so I was like,
She's the one that noticed.
I was like, probably not. And she was like,
What?
"No," and it was real. There really was.
Yep. I forgot about
But
that
yeah,
until you mentioned that.
no. But anyways, I was thinking about we were dancing in your room and singing Jewel and listening and putting makeup on, and I mean we did it several times, but I always thought when you grew up you would be a poet.
I still am. It's just
I know
nobody
you still
reads
do it. I
except
know,
me.
but I think you should. I think you should write. Your story is so captivating. I think you should write a book about it, or use your poetry. I've always thought like Jewel did take her poetry and she just put it in a book and just. Why not? I think you should. But you did go down that road with your English, like being
I am a teacher.
you are
I mean,
a teacher, but
so I started to go to school that's what I wanted to be, a writer.
I remember.
But then I got pregnant and I was like, it's hard to make money. And so, I mean, I've come, I don't know. I've danced around that for my whole life, like adult life, wanting to do that.
Yeah.
Put it out there. It's still there. Like I have some, I started typing everything up because
Yeah.
I'm old school. I write it. I
I
handwrite.
do too.
But I started putting it all, kind of organizing it. And I thought, I could just publish this and give it to family or whoever wants to read it.
You should just publish it.
Because there are a lot of poems I've obviously written about what I've been through. So I'm glad you said that. That keeps me motivated to do it one day.
Well, there's a point where I just decided that I'm not going to do this crap anymore. I'm going to do what I want to do, whether it's going to make me money or not. And we'll figure out ways how to make money off of it if we can. But I
Yeah.
want to do what I'm passionate about. And like doing the art.
Which is awesome. I was looking at that earlier.
Thank you. It looks really cool in the black light.
Oh, I bet. I love that.
Just doing art and trying to sell it. And it's not easy. I haven't sold any, but I started my website and I put it out there.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you had a website for that.
I did. I started a website and I connected it to like Printful, so I make like t-shirts and shoes and stuff like that
I
that you
didn't
can
even
put on there.
know.
I know. Well, because I'm trying to share stuff, but I'm like not good at social media.
Well, this is part of why it's hard to share too, because that's like you're really vulnerable when you artwork, whether it's poetry or your story or artwork like this on canvas. That's a lot of your energy going out into the universe. So I don't know, but I will have to check out your website because I want some.
Yeah, I will. I'll try to post it. I'm gonna try to get better at it.
Say the website.
Oh, it's Hazey, hazyarts.com. Okay, so I have a website called hazyarts.com, and I have it linked to my Healing with Hazy website, and I have it linked to YouTube. So there's like links and places where you can like click on them. And like on Instagram, I change the link every week on YouTube with Healing with Hazy, so you can just click on that. And I try to make it really easy. But I need you people to subscribe.
That would help, yeah.
Because that helps a lot. That pretty much nobody cares about anything unless you subscribe. Like that's the only way you can get like people to pay attention. And so I don't know. I shout out some places that I believe in, like BetterHelp.com. I do believe in that.
Yeah, BetterHelp's good.
Yeah, I'm shouting out Brandon and Tara because I believe in them. They've helped me get to this point. And yeah, I think. Oh, what else do you do to heal?
Oh, okay. Eat well, exercise, of course. Put good things like what I'm listening to. I really am pickier, way pickier about what I listen to, whether it's music or
as long as it has something. That's what we were at. Some good energy going out.
Yeah, and it doesn't even. Sometimes it's just the energy, or sometimes it's something I want. I don't want to feel dumber after I listen to it, if that makes sense. Even if that's TV shows, like I'm going to use SpongeBob as an example, and I know everyone loves SpongeBob. I can't stand SpongeBob because I feel dumb after I watch it. I'm like,
which says a lot because we watched Beavis and Butthead and Ren and Stimpy like crazy.
Yep.
And it was so good. I still watch Beavis and Butthead.
And there's nothing wrong with it. That's just like for me.
Yeah, but as an adult, I cannot, and I know there's still a lot of adults that like it too, but I cannot stand his laugh.
Yeah, there's that.
I can't. It sounds so. And
another thing I do,
makes me.
Oh yeah, I can't. Maddox does it all the time, and I'm like, stop, because he knows I hate it, and so he'll do it. Also, your environment, like I'm pickier about. I don't like a mess around me all the time. I like things orderly. Probably you saw how organized I am. But that makes me feel better. Like the things I don't have to wonder about. I don't have to spend energy on things being unorganized or messy, or like if it's okay.
Yeah,
makes
I'm
me
working
feel better.
on that.
And that's just my thing. Like I feel better. I feel safer. I think too. I don't know. So.
Well, there is something to it. I think my mom was really always cleaning, and I think as women, for some reason, when we start cleaning and stuff, it like is our release. That was our punching bag.
Gets us to
think. Because we shut our mouths. We just go into cleaning mode and scrub that, you know. And I do that a lot when I'm stressed out. That's how the house gets cleaned sometimes, is my stress.
Well, and that too, like I also check my anger. And Jared is amazing. Like he's so good for me in this aspect because I was not a very angry person pre first marriage. Post marriage, I was very angry because I was around it a lot, and because of what had happened, I just let that.
Well, you were like reprogrammed. That's what I would. That's what I say about myself. I was reprogrammed.
Yes.
To not, because I wasn't me and you weren't you.
I wasn't me
because I remember you.
Yeah, exactly. I was always happy and not after. So that's another thing. I really have to check my anger, and Jared is such a wonderful balance for me because if something triggers me, because there are certain behaviors with one of my kids that remind me of Jeremy. which is
Oh.
it's a really hard thing to love somebody and want to do anything for them because they came from you, but then they remind you of somebody who hurt you.
Really bad.
So I have had a lot of therapy for that, and then also
I just talked to a therapist about that.
yes, and then also Jared
Just
like,
talked to it
yes,
like this
because
week.
it's hard. That's a mind
Because I don't
fuck.
like not love my child, but there are these things that the child does that you go, oh my God, that is so him.
and you
it,
have to stop
and
comparing.
you have to, yeah, and you have to go and like do rewiring at that very moment.
Yes, and because of the behaviors, you don't want them to end up in a certain spot
And it's
either.
the
So
biggest
you have to.
fear.
So Jared really checks me. He's like, "Mama, you're getting angry. You're getting," because he calls me Mama. He's like,
Mama, you're getting angry.
He's like, you need to maybe not talk like that. So, just really finding ways to deal with that when I do find myself getting angry, even if it's for no reason, like it just creeps up, like I've internalized stuff and then it creeps up. So I don't know.
Well, that's something we say a lot in jiu-jitsu when you're doing a move. Like, we're practicing things out. Like, people be, why are we doing the same stupid thing over and over again? Because it's muscle memory.
Yes, it is.
Your brain has to continue to do it. Mm-hmm. Everybody goes, why? I'll never say what my parents say. And then you grow up and you say what your parents say and you go, oh, no. It's because that's literally your brain is just programmed. That's all you know to say in that moment because that's what you've seen. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing. Like, you have to practice it.
Yeah, you do.
If you don't practice it, it's not going to change. And that's where you put in the work.
Yep.
And it's so much easier than it seems. Like working up to doing it is what's the hardest part. But once you do it, it's like, oh, that wasn't.
Yeah. Yep. No big deal.
Hey, and like a lot of people with anger, they, another doctor told me they get like almost high off of it and addicted to it.
Yes, it is addicting. So
sometimes when you get angry, that adrenaline rush that you get, becomes your body's like addiction, you know, like it's almost like adrenaline junkies, right?
It is.
And so it's better to find, and that's why I say martial arts is really good. And I know your son's in wrestling, and we were just talking about how good.
He's not anymore because he graduated.
Oh, he's not anymore?
He graduated.
Needs to get into jiu-jitsu, like, because I was watching just his movements, and, you know, I've been doing this for like 20 years.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He's so good.
He is.
He would go as an adult right now and dominate a lot of people at that white belt division.
I should tell him.
And then as he progresses, he will be pretty good. And then, like, right now is a time to get into jiu-jitsu because there's about to be a big burst of like money flow through there to where you can do that as a professional athlete.
Yeah, it's becoming.
Me and her are we're professional jiu-jitsu athletes.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, for an adult, we're not like master levels.
Yeah.
Fuck, right? So that adult level has so much opportunity to make
I don't
a decent living, or even just something different than going a 9 to 5.
I don't know why I never. Well, okay, so he stopped. He was wrestling his senior year because he graduated just in May.
I know.
He didn't go through the whole year wrestling because he kept getting injured.
That's a part of it, yeah.
I think he just got to the point where he was frustrated with his body and just kind of shut down. I think there was a lot of emotion attached to that because he had been wrestling so long.
This will give him new life because jiu-jitsu it's not as rough on your body.
Yeah.
As we say that, and she's like, my knee.
Well, we have to get his knee addressed first before he does anything.
Yeah, but I've had 2 knee surgeries through it.
I didn't even know that.
Stuff.
God.
Yeah, I've heard he's had surgeries. I've hurt my MLP, and then on this side it's the band, right?
The LBP.
What's it called?
The IT band.
IT band. That's what I heard.
Oh,
It
okay.
popped off. It popped and probably went back. And so now it's just healing.
Yeah.
And it feels a lot better. But
I need to tell him.
in with jiu-jitsu especially, I've noticed with teen boys, I have to go with teen boys a lot. I sometimes now I'm just like, I'll look at them and I'm like, look, I'm a mom of 2.
I will
No.
kill you.
Like, please stop trying to destroy me.
Seriously.
Having some
Turds.
mommy issues. No, but there's a sense of like learning control, like a lot of control.
Yeah.
Because you are going to be with every size and shape of people. You have to slow down and stop when it comes to submission and not,
I feel like he wouldn't have an issue with that though, because I mean, well, for one, he's not like, I mean, he's 18. He's a little
it's
more.
good control issues, like not like
Yeah. He and because like just if you've ever seen him wrestle, he had like he was good. I mean, he's a good wrestler, you know.
That's what Josh was saying.
But sometimes I would watch him wrestle somebody and I'm like, why are you not destroying this person yet? And
Oh,
he
so
was
a
very
little bit-
calculated about his moves. He didn't
Oh,
want to waste the
perfect.
energy.
That would make him even better.
That would make
that's
him
a jiu-jitsu
so good.
That's
mindset
his
right there.
personality. He thinks about he's a Scorpio, so I mean, there's
No,
that.
that's
He would, if he got a right professor, a right coach, and in the right, in the right gym, he would fall in love with. He would be like, "Oh, this is wrestling 2.0 for me."
Well, yeah. I should tell him. I should suggest that to him because right now he's about to start school. He wants
even
to.
if he just wants to come try a class
Yeah.
one time, even if he's not going to be at our gym forever because he
Yeah.
lives far, but if he wants to come try a class, even we will let him have a gi to try it on and try
His
the
dad
intro
probably
class
has a gi too.
and just see how, just let him dip his toes in
yeah.
because I got Cyrus doing it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He came and tried out class.
He'd be
when
perfect.
He was
Just the
He
way
came
he's
to
built.
he came to town and I was like, just try out a class, and he tried it out, and it was so funny watching him be just like very, because that's Cyrus. And then when he went back to Albuquerque, he was like, yeah, I've signed up for class, and not even knowing it, my daughter's into it with her friend, and so we're gonna make that a bonding
Aw,
experience.
I love
And
that.
yeah, it was beautiful. So
I need to get his knee right and tell him to, because we got to get that checked out.
Yeah,
but
definitely get that checked out and then we'll jump on it.
I
I
should
know.
tell
I've been
him.
telling you this
a
for
long time.
years.
yeah,
I know. It's just he was so into
yeah.
wrestling.
No,
like,
I totally understand.
we just didn't
that,
have time
yeah.
for both. But I remember, like, as soon as you saw
think
him in the
all
beginning,
my
you were
friends'
like,
kids. I have
Josh hits
once
up
bothered
everybody.
them about like, hey, put them in jiu-jitsu.
well, and I've
Just so
tried
they
with
know.
Maddox, and he doesn't like. He likes, he likes Taekwondo.
Yeah.
He does not like jujitsu.
He like Muay Thai. If he
Or-
likes Taekwondo,
Yeah,
Muay
he
Thai
would
is
like
his next
Muay.
step.
Yeah,
That's what I would get him into.
because I
And
tried.
where you're at, there's some
Well,
good spots.
I went to one of the ones you suggested for him, and we tried it a little bit. It's just at the time we didn't have. There was just a lot going on,
Oh,
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
just didn't have the time. And now he's in band. But yeah,
it is really a part of finding the right school too, because you don't want a school that's like super drill sergeant-y and makes
Yeah.
it very like,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, this is the way, which is not.
And
Yeah.
it's not. There's
What's up
there's
for
endless
interpretation?
there's endless possibilities with jujitsu. And
Definitely.
endless possibilities on how your body can go, what your game could be, how
Yeah, definitely.
And it's amazing. I love it, but I think all kids should be in it. But that being said, I can't make my kids.
That's so funny.
But they done it.
They've done
See,
it.
that's the
They do
thing,
it. They
yeah.
know some. They know some self defense techniques because I make sure they do.
Yeah,
But yeah, Ewan had to do it. He's the one that got me into it because I made him go for his like anger.
yeah, definitely. See, that's why Maddox needs it.
But it also he had a really hard time with losing, and it's very humbling because you're gonna lose at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
I mean, and it's not about win or lose. It's about you're making each other better every time that you go with each other and you do lose, because then, if
Feel
you're
like it's more
stuck in a
about
bad,
balance.
if you're stuck, and this was another thing that I was going to say about when you're healing is trying to find the balance. And that's really important. And that's checking in and finding the balance. Like,
Yeah.
don't let yourself be way up here and then way down here.
Yep.
And if you notice that you're way up here and way down there, then you're like, okay, I need to check in with myself. But I think that that's one thing too. Like, that's how guys check themselves mostly, is fighting.
Yep.
And I don't,
For sure. Yeah.
yeah, like guys need that.
Well, the energy has to go somewhere. So
It does. It has to go
You
somewhere.
have to find
And
what
so,
that
yeah.
is for you, like
Yeah.
how you get rid of that.
And I always loved wrestling with boys.
Yeah, well, I did too, actually.
I remember wrestling with Freeman out front. I remember rolling down a hill with Josh over there, like just wrestling. And I just always liked to jump on guys and whatever.
Yeah.
And so when he took me there, I was like,
Aw.
I can be a kid and jump on guys again. Because then, like, as you got older, I guess my girlfriends were like, jump on my guy. And I was like, oh, okay, well. I don't really think of him like that, but okay. You know?
Funny.
Well, because we were all very, like, lovey.
Yeah. I still.
That's the thing. Like, yeah, we're still lovey, but, like, as kids, we were very lovey people.
Probably too much.
Too much. Too lovey.
Probably.
Too lovey. We loved each other all so much.
That's why everyone thought we were in relationships with each other.
And we would go off of it. I mean, I would just, like, if people thought it, I'd be like, whatever.
Okay.
Think whatever you want to think.
I don't care.
I think somebody, like, was like, ew, they're to get, like, me and Christy one time, and I was like, yeah, we are, you know, and I was like, you know, does that freak you out?
Oh my gosh. I mean, at least it's different now anyways with
I know,
that,
but back
so.
then it was like,
Why?
I always had I think we all bonded on that because we always kind of had an upper hand on it. We were like, who cares?
Yeah, don't care what you think.
I don't care what you think. I don't care what you want.
Yep.
If you want to have your hair weird and your piercings and your whatever, do it.
Whatever makes you happy.
Speaking of, I'm about to have purple hair again.
Oh, I wish I could.
I know you're a teacher, so you can't, right?
Actually, we could. There are some teachers that have some crazy hair. For me, I don't want to keep up with it. That's
mine too. That's why it's finally so healthy. And
that
long.
Was the other thing. Mine is healthy now.
Yeah, but I'm gonna do just purple. That's like temporary.
Okay.
So it'll be really purple, but it'll fade out eventually, and that way I don't have to bleach it and all that.
Yeah.
But I told one of my students that she's really tall. She competed today, and I don't know.
She won.
Oh, she won!
Oh,
Yay!
cool.
Good job. She's 15 years old. She's taller than
Aw.
me, and she has to compete in the women's division at a weight higher than herself because of how big she is.
Holy
I mean,
cow.
like not like
Yeah,
she's tall.
Yeah.
And she's got legs for days, and she won.
does my
She's
stepdaughter.
amazing. Yeah. Oh, she's so cute.
Thank you.
She looks just like Jared.
I know, it's crazy. She's taller than me now.
Yeah. And Vivian, oh my God. I can't wait to meet her. Of course, I haven't wanted to come around with all the sickness going on. I'm always very like, let the baby get bigger and healthy and let them, but.
Oh, she's good. I don't vaccinate her yet, so, but like.
Yeah, I'm really like, well, I'm kind of up and down on vaccines. I get like the importance of some of them, and then some of them are like, oh, I don't know if my body's going to be okay, and I don't know how it's going to affect this, so it's very confusing for me.
Since I'm a nerd, I've been like listening to all these podcasts and reading all this material about what's in like just the regular vaccines we give babies.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's a lot that I just sit there and scratch my head and go, why do we give this? Why? I don't know. So,
yeah.
But she's super healthy. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
Some people do, and that's fine. That's just
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't.
definitely don't like how the world dictates what goes in and out of my body or in and out of my child's
And
body.
I think that's why I haven't vaccinated her. I'm like, no.
Basically because we're not all one. We're not all the same. None of our bodies are the same.
have
Everybody's bodies are
different
different.
DNA.
Different DNA, and not one vaccine is going to be the right fit for everybody. And that's just the way it is.
Exactly.
And everybody can have their opinions about it, but when it comes down to it, if it's not your body, then don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I like with her, I just told Jared, I was like, we're not going to do anything for a little while. Just let me think on it. I don't want to just make a decision because that's what society says you should do this. Well, no, she's fine. She's not sick. She's,
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons, but I don't know. I just don't want somebody to tell me what I have to do.
No. Well, I don't think either one of us have ever been the one that would jump on the bandwagon and go. We've always been like, I don't know about that. That doesn't look right.
Yep. Yeah.
That being said, everybody goes down the wrong loophole sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, I've been like, I don't know. And I remember as a kid being vaccinated, they would hold me down, and
Oh, wow. Oh,
I would like I do now. Like we're about to go on a plane ride to Vegas to compete at Master
love
Worlds.
Vegas. Vegas is fun.
I know. I hate plane rides, so I have to like. I even messaged Dr. Braga. I need you to fill my medicine that puts me to sleep, so I don't know what's going on. And
It gives me vertigo.
yeah, so that's my problems. Is I get motion sick. I get dizzy. I get everything. So
Yeah.
when I travel anywhere, like that, my anxiety goes up the roof.
Yeah,
My palms
yeah.
sweat. I start belching. I start feeling like I'm having out of body experiences. So I'm just like, just drug me because it outweighs the stress.
Yeah, I mean, some people need that. That's
Yeah,
like
it outweighs the stress of like
Yeah.
of my body. It would take a bigger toll on my body to not do it. But I forgot what I was getting at.
You're about to go to Vegas.
Oh yeah, and fly, and I'm terrified. But what were we talking about before that?
I don't know. What were we talking about?
I don't
know.
either.
I lost it.
Josh, do you know?
You lost me.
Playing on his phone, not even listening.
Yeah,
to us.
I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna have to listen to this like 5 or 6 more times.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's cool. I enjoy it.
He's gonna listen to me and be like, "Oh my god."
No,
What are you talking about?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I forgot what my point was, but I'm terrified to do that. I hate flying. It's gonna be okay though.
It'll
Once
be
I
okay.
get there and I compete, everything will be fine, and then I'll come back.
Tell yourself why you're going.
This is what I'm
Positive.
trying to like change my worry.
Yes, yes.
Like, okay, why are you worrying about this like 2 hours that you're gonna be asleep anyways?
I just
I'm gonna have
watch
to carry
movies.
her on and off the plane.
I just watch movies, so I have to like get my mind on something else because it makes me nervous. Now I don't have the anxiety you do. Like I get that we're different on that. I can start getting worked up, but not like that.
Like
you know,
can get yourself out of it. I
can
start
get
to
myself
get
out
in
of it.
I need a distraction. I start to get myself stuck in a tunnel of it, like a.
I'm really good at just
and
lift
that's
out of that.
my full body shakes.
Yeah.
I did that when I was a kid, and I would get vaccinated.
Oh, that's what we were talking
That's
about.
what we were
Vaccinations.
talking
Yeah,
about. I would get full blown, like they would hold me down, and my
wow.
body would shake.
Wow.
I did it at Fight to Win too. My first Fight to Win, where I had to go on stage and fight.
Oh, jeez.
Cause I don't know, I was scared.
Yeah, that's scary.
I was like,
I still get
The
nervous.
whole car was shaking.
Holy cow.
She was in the back seat with Anamika, and Anamika was holding her. And I swear to God, her whole car was going like this down the highway.
Holy
She was
shit.
shaking so bad, and then
I'm proud of you, by
It
the way,
went.
like to
it went great.
get up in front of people and do that
Thank
because
you.
that would make me nervous. I don't, I'm a
Once
teacher
I
and I
did
get
it, it
nervous
was
every
like-
year.
It's like 400 people were in there, and then
Yeah.
Once
no.
it was done, like I
I'm
had
out.
no anxiety. I just
30,
like
40,000 watching.
It's just your happy place.
I felt once I got
It's
it
crazy.
on
Once
the
you step
stage,
on the mat,
it was
all that stuff goes off, and you're like, I'm here. I do what I do.
I mean, I was an athlete. I understand, just never
Just
to
get
that
to-
capacity.
you just
that
get
many
to
people.
unfucking leash.
Well, yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mine is running. I like.
Yes,
that's
I
my-
was gonna mention that. I remember
running
when
and
we were
lifting.
younger, you always. I think that's probably one of your healings. Is just
Oh God, yes.
running.
Yeah, I need to get back into it, but.
That was Janna thighs.
Oh yeah, Christy was always like, "Your legs."
Oh, Janna's legs. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you
dear.
do. You have running legs.
Thank you. Well,
It's good.
they're a little different right now, but that's okay.
Well, you just had a baby.
Yeah.
And you look amazing.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you really do.
I'm happy with where I'm at. I learn like I have to let go of some things like, okay, you can't have control over everything. Which one do you want? Do you want the time at home with your family and the baby and the bonding, or do you want to go and spend 2 hours in the gym? Like, which, and so I
That's
just
the
have
balance.
to tell myself, okay, I'm in shape. I mean, but just not in the shape I'm used to. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that.
And well, you'll get back there
I'll get it. It's fine.
to like your, outlet.
Yeah, and I do have outlets. It's just I don't even have time for very many right now. School just started, so I'm like, What is
I
happening?
can't even imagine being a teacher.
I'm teaching
I mean,
four classes,
yeah.
4 like different subjects this year.
Yeah. Ooh. I'm a different, I help teach jujitsu.
Hey, that's a lot too.
It is, but I mean, they're not there for very long compared to like a whole, like,
Hour-and-a-half long classes.
I just don't know if I could do it. I love all my kids though at jujitsu. Like you build such a bond with them, and it's so amazing to watch like how they transform
Oh
from some
gosh,
of them
yeah.
coming in not even saying a word to.
Yeah. Same thing with teaching
Yeah.
in my capacity. I don't want to do it forever though. I have an exit strategy.
Well, I think you had another passion, like you really liked your full, like you were trying to start your business, the full circle and all that.
Yeah, I was. So I took a year off from teaching to do that.
Yeah.
Right, right when COVID happened. I mean, like right before.
What a ruiner.
But I think I realized like I need structure. I'm not as good with not having structure. So I'd rather, if I was going to be a coach, I'd want to do it underneath a doctor and have like an office to go to every day and that sort of thing. But really, I want to help people, and teaching is helping, but I want to do it in a medical way. So I think what I'm probably going to do is become a midwife.
Oh, nice. Actually, that's so funny. The person I'm having on tomorrow is just started a business doing a midwife.
Seriously? Oh, I need
It's
to.
Matt's wife, Megan.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, my sister took photography pictures of her for her
Website and everything.
website. Yeah.
I didn't know
I'm
she was
all
a
about
midwife. I need
networking
to
women.
network, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have the school I want to go to. It's just Jared's about to start a business, so it's fine. I'll like wait a little bit.
Well,
but
I think
that's
it's
where
the
I
way
wanna
to go now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm about to not be, I mean, like, I am about to not work at my set core job anymore because
Yeah.
it's like that toxic pull.
And mine's not necessarily toxic. It's
No,
just
no.
it's about finding your passion and using your skills and like what best way can I use what I have and my knowledge and all of that. And
Well,
teaching
and you
is
don't want to
great,
get
but
burnt out on anything either.
I don't.
You
I
need
am.
to you
I
need to
am.
really feel and want what you.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I got into teaching like I mean, I wanted to do it. I'm not going to say I didn't want to do it. It is a passion of mine teaching, but you can teach in a lot of different ways.
So many.
Midwifery is teaching too.
Yeah.
It's just very specific.
And you used a
but
midwife too, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that just like fueled the fire. But I originally got into teach like one of the reasons why was that was my way to leave my husband. So I could have, something that was stable and make money and something I did enjoy and all that. But it was never, I knew I wasn't going to do it forever. Like I
Yeah.
always knew that.
Yeah.
So,
I think I don't think that being a vet tech was my first passion. I think I have a very good connection with animals,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're very healing to me. So that's
Yeah.
why I followed the path. But it's not what you think it is. You end up having to do a lot of so much toxic, like
yeah.
people come in and make you feel bad because you don't have the money to save their animal.
Yeah.
And I'm in like debt to them now because of how many animals I've saved trying to, because they pull on that empath, pull on your heartstring.
Yeah.
And it's just something that I think I'm going to have to finally kind of cut the cord because it's not serving the purpose that it used to serve me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's turned into more of just somewhere I have to go and less of somewhere I want to be. And it feels like every time I'm there, it's just rules, rules, rules. It's going corporate. It's not, we're just turning people away and picking what we want to do. And we're not emergency anymore. And we're not it's not me. I'm a bleeding heart.
Yeah.
I'm there for
Yeah.
the animals.
Yeah.
I'm not there for the money.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it's like, why am I even coming? I'm not even.
So what are you planning on doing?
Well, I mean, jiu-jitsu, we're obviously very much expanding, and it's going to continue to expand.
Yeah.
There's no way that it's not going to. The kids that we have coming through are a lot. So we're going to do that, and there'll be more opportunities in the next couple of years coming up with that. But I'm probably just going to try to do on the side type things. Honestly,
Dog sitting and grooming and
doing it on my own, it's a fraction of the price. The people
Yeah.
aren't having as much trouble getting in and getting
Yeah.
it done. They don't have to go and get vaccines to get their dog's nails trimmed. Just,
Yeah.
Because that's an expense.
Yeah.
They're not having to wait a months to get in. Or, it's just like the vet world has boomed into like something it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. I know like all of them are like that because I used to not have to prove my dog's vaccinations. I mean, I get them vaxxed, but I have to find my paperwork just to get the nails trimmed, like you're saying. So I get what you're saying.
It's frustrating, but I have enough clients that sometimes they just have a hard enough time getting their dog in the car to get there. So, like I can definitely go to some people's house and maybe even make more money than I am there.
Yeah.
At this moment. Also doing this.
Yeah.
It's gonna go somewhere.
Yeah.
The
definitely.
art's gonna go somewhere as long as I believe in it and it keeps, I keep putting myself out there. It's gonna go somewhere. I also do designs. Like I have my iPad and at Kingdom the like logo on all of their shirts, and like this one right here, Beautiful and Dangerous. We put it on, like I drew this and they put it on shirts and
that's cool.
and gear, and then there's some other ones that I've designed. So I do designs for people. There's definitely opportunity for freelancing and stuff like that. So the thing is like when I'm stuck on this other path right over here where I don't want to go to it. It's a chore I have to do every day. I have to go there, and then just a few hours at work and I'm so mentally drained that I need to come home and take a nap just to physically be ready to go to the next place and do the next thing.
Yeah.
And that's not,
That's not good.
that's not something I want. I'm trying to get away from taking a lot of naps because that was a coping mechanism for a long time, was like I can't handle it anymore. I need to go take a nap because the stress is going to make me go crazy. So if I just make myself go relax and I'd usually fall asleep doing like relaxation stuff. But is it going really long?
Oh.
Just can't sit for a long time.
Yeah.
You know that.
I know. What are we at?
It's at 2
hours.
2.
Wow. I knew this was going to happen. I knew we could talk for 2 freaking hours.
Seriously.
Okay. Well, that being said, I'm going to end it here. I'm so happy I got to see you.
Oh, I'm happy I got to see you.
I'm not even going to lie. I feel more recharged than drained.
Yay!
I know! Give me a hug. Oh, I love you so much.
I love you. So good to see you. I'm so happy you're doing this.
I know. And so, hey guys.
Oh,
Attacked again.
Like, share, subscribe, watch, blah, blah, blah. Do it. Thanks. Bye.
and buy Haley's art.